Ethan stood alone in the rain, staring at the cold, gray stone in front of him. The wind moved around him, carrying the smell of wet earth and old flowers. His hands were shaking as he placed a single white rose on the grave. It was Lara's grave. Was gone. He had watched her take her last breath. He had held her hand until it turned cold. And now she was under the ground while he was here, lost, empty and alone. Ethan whispered, "I miss you." Thunder rolled across the sky, and lightning flashed for a moment, lighting the cemetery in a bright white glow. Ethan closed his eyes, letting the rain wash over his face. It felt like the world was crying with him. He took a deep breath, ready to say goodbye forever. But then, he heard it. A soft sound, like footsteps on wet grass behind him. He froze. The cemetery was empty. No one else should be here. Slowly he turned his head, looking over his shoulder. There was nothing. The rain fell harder, drumming on the gravestones. Ethan shook his head. Maybe it was just the wind or a bird. But then, he felt it. A cold, soft hand touched his shoulder. Ethan's heart stopped. His breath caught in his throat. The touch was so familiar, so gentle, so real. He turned around quickly, his eyes wide. Standing there in the rain was Lara. Her long dark hair was wet, sticking to her pale face. Her eyes, once brown, were now glowing a faint blue in the dark. Rain. She was wearing the same dress they had buried her in, torn and muddy. Ethan's mouth opened, but no words came out. "Lara?" He whispered, his voice shaking. She looked at him with eyes full of pain and fear. Her lips moved, and a broken, soft voice came out. "Ethan, help me, before they come." Ethan stepped back, unable to believe what he was seeing. His mind screamed that it was impossible, that Lara was dead, that he had buried her himself. But there she was, standing in front of him, rain dripping from her hair, tears mixing with the rain on her cheeks. He reached out slowly, his fingers trembling. As they moved closer to her face, "Lara, is it really you?" She nodded weakly, and more tears fell from her glowing eyes. "They put me in the ground," she said in a shaking voice. "But I woke up in darkness. I heard them. I saw them. They did something to me." Ethan felt his heart twist inside his chest. He wanted to hold her, to tell her it was okay, but fear and shock held him in place. Who did this to you?" he asked. Lara looked around quickly, her eyes wide with terror. She grabbed his arm with cold, strong fingers. "They are coming," she said, her voice urgent. "The lights, the shadows, the watchers." Ethan looked around the cemetery. It was empty, quiet except for the rain. But then, in the distance, he saw 3 small lights in the sky, moving fast, scanning the ground with bright beams. "What are those?" Ethan whispered. Lara shook her head, tears falling. "They are looking for me." The lights moved closer, sweeping over the trees, over the graves, over the stones where names were slowly being washed away by the rain. Ethan pulled Lara close, feeling her cold, shaking body against his. He didn't care if it was a dream or a nightmare. She was here, and he would protect her. "Come on," he said. "We have to hide." Lara looked at him, hope mixing with fear in her glowing eyes. She nodded, holding his hand tightly. They ran, moving between the gravestones, hiding in the shadows as the lights moved above them. Scanning, searching, hunting. Ethan's heart pounded in his chest. His mind was full of questions, full of fear. But one thought stayed clear. He would not lose her again. They reached the old cemetery gate, pushing it open with a loud creak that echoed in the rain. The lights turned towards them, and Lara gasped. Falling to her knees, "Lara!" Ethan shouted, lifting her up. Her eyes glowed brighter, and she screamed in pain, clutching her head. "Run, Ethan!" She screamed. "No, I won't leave you!" He shouted back. The lights were getting closer, moving fast, almost over them now. Ethan pulled Lara up, carrying her in his arms, and ran into the dark street, the rain pouring over them, the lights chasing them, the night alive with the sound of thunder and fear. Behind them, the grave of Lara stood silent. The white rose slowly falling apart in the rain. Ethan didn't look back. He only ran, holding the girl who had returned from the grave, not knowing what she was now, or what was coming for them, but he would find out, and he would fight for her. Asterisk. Rain was falling harder now, like the sky itself was crying. Ethan's arms were tired as he carried Lara through the dark street, her wet hair sticking to his shoulder. Her glowing blue eyes were half open, blinking slowly. They found an old abandoned bus stop on the side of the empty road. The roof was broken, but it was enough to keep some of the rain away. Ethan placed Lara down gently on the cold, wet bench. "Lara, please look at me," Ethan said, touching her cold face. She opened her eyes, breathing heavily, and looked at him. Her eyes glowed brighter for a moment, then dimmed. "Ethan," she whispered, "they are close." Ethan looked around, but the street was empty. Only the rain and the distant sound of thunder filled the air. "Who are they?" Ethan asked. His voice low. Lara closed her eyes, tears mixing with the rain. "I woke up in the dark, inside the coffin. I screamed, but no one heard me. Then the lights came." "What lights?" "The blue lights," Lara said, shaking. "They took me out of the ground. They opened my mind. They put things inside me." She pulled up her sleeve, showing her wrist. There were thin metal lines under her pale skin, glowing faintly. Like blue veins. Ethan's eyes widened. "What did they do to you?" "I don't know," she whispered, shaking her head. "They showed me stars, other worlds, and something else. I can hear them in my mind sometimes, calling me back." Ethan took a deep breath, trying to keep his fear away. "You're here now, Lara. You're with me." Lara looked at him, her glowing eyes full of fear. "I don't know how long I can stay." Suddenly, a deep humming sound filled the air, vibrating in their bones. Lara gasped, clutching her head. "They found me." Ethan turned, looking up. 3 dark drones with spinning blue lights moved slowly above the street, scanning the ground with bright beams. Their lights passed over broken cars and wet roads, getting closer with every second. Lara started to cry, shaking. "They are here to take me back." Ethan held her shoulders, looking into her eyes. "I will not let them take you." "You can't fight them," Lara whispered. "Watch me," Ethan said. Standing up. The drones moved closer, their blue lights sweeping over the bus stop. One of them stopped, its light fixed on Lara's glowing eyes. It let out a sharp, metallic sound. Lara screamed, and the metal lines under her skin glowed brighter, pulsing with light. The drone light turned red. Suddenly, Lara's eyes glowed fully. Blue, and a pulse of energy shot from her body, hitting the drone. The drone shook, sparks flying, and then fell to the ground, crashing into the wet road. Lara fell back, breathing hard, her eyes dimming again. Ethan turned, shocked, staring at her. "What was that?" Lara looked up at him, her voice weak. "I don't know. It's inside me." The other 2 drones moved quickly now, scanning for them. Ethan grabbed Lara's hand. "We have to move." She tried to stand, but her legs were weak, shaking under her. Ethan lifted her again, holding her close. "I've got you." They ran into the dark alley beside the road as the drone's red lights moved over the bus stop. Scanning the empty space, they hid behind an old dumpster, breathing heavily. The rain was pouring, hitting the metal above them like a drum. Lara was shivering in his arms, her eyes closed, tears running down her face. "I can feel them, Ethan," she whispered. "In my head, they are calling me." "Fight it, Lara." Ethan whispered back, "Stay with me." She opened her eyes, looking at him with pain. "I'm scared." "I am too," Ethan said, holding her tighter. "But I will protect you." Above them, the drones moved away slowly, scanning other parts of the street. The humming sound faded, replaced by the sound of rain and their quiet breathing. Lara touched Ethan's face with her cold hand. "Why are you helping me?" "Because you are still you," Ethan said, "no matter what they did." Lara closed her eyes, leaning her head against his chest, her tears warm on his skin. Then she whispered, "There is a place. I remember it. They took me there." "What place?" Ethan asked. "It's in the woods, an old building." "I think it's where they changed me," she said, her voice shaking. Ethan looked out into the rain, his mind clear. "Then we'll go there," he said. "We'll find out what they did to you, and we will stop them." Lara opened her eyes, looking at him, a small light of hope in her glowing blue eyes. "Okay," she whispered. They stood up, holding each other in the storm, ready to face the darkness that was coming for them. Above them, far in the clouds, a dark shape moved, watching them silently, waiting for the right moment to strike. The rain had stopped, but the sky was heavy with dark clouds, hiding the stars. A cold wind moved through the trees as Ethan and Lara walked deeper into the woods, their shoes sinking in the wet ground. Lara's eyes glowed softly, lighting the path in front of them. She was quiet, her face pale, her hands cold as she held Ethan's arm to stay steady. "Are you sure it's this way?" Ethan asked, looking around. Lara nodded slowly. "I don't know how I know, but I can feel it. Calling me." Ethan didn't like the word calling, but he stayed silent. He tightened his grip on the old wrench he had taken from the bus stop. It was not much, but it made him feel less helpless. They moved through the trees until they saw it. An old fence, half broken, covered in rust, surrounded a building hidden between tall trees. The building was gray, with broken windows and vines growing on its walls. "This is it," Lara whispered, her voice shaking. They moved closer, climbing over the broken fence. The air felt colder here, heavy, like it was watching them. Lara stopped in front of the large metal door. Her glowing eyes reflected on the metal surface. "I remember this door," she whispered. "They brought me here, after." She touched her head, her face filled with pain. Ethan placed his hand on hers. "We will find out what they did, Lara, and we will stop them." Suddenly, a deep humming sound filled the air. Lara's eyes widened. "They're here." Ethan turned, looking up. Above the trees, 3 dark drones appeared, lights spinning red and blue, scanning the ground. "They found us," Lara whispered. The drones moved quickly, scanning the area, moving lower. As they found their target, "Run!" Ethan shouted, pulling Lara's hand. They ran around the building, the drones following, their red lights flashing in the dark. A bright beam shot down, hitting the ground beside them with a loud crack, leaving a smoking hole. Lara screamed, falling. As the shockwave hit them, Ethan pulled her up, his heart pounding. They reached a broken window, and Ethan pushed Lara inside first before climbing in himself. Inside, the building was dark and smelled of metal and old chemicals. Broken glass cracked under their feet as they moved quickly down the hallway. The drones moved outside, scanning the windows with red lights, their shadows moving on the walls. "Down here," Lara said, pulling Ethan towards a stairway. They moved down, deeper into the building, until they reached a large underground room. Old computers and machines lined the walls, broken wires hanging from the ceiling. Lara's eyes glowed brighter, lighting the dark room. "This is where they did it," Lara whispered, touching the metal table in the center of the room. Her hands shook as memories came back. She saw flashes in her mind, bright lights above her, cold metal against her skin, voices speaking in a strange language, sharp pain in her arms and head, the blue light entering her body, changing her. She screamed, falling to her knees. "Lara!" Ethan shouted, kneeling beside her. Her eyes glowed fully blue, and small sparks moved under her skin. "They are trying to take control," she whispered, her voice mixed with fear and pain. "No. Fight them, Lara," Ethan said, holding her shoulders. Suddenly, the wall beside them exploded, and one of the drones flew in. Its red light fixed on Lara. It let out a loud metallic screech. Lara screamed, and a pulse of blue energy shot from her body, hitting the drone and sending it crashing into the wall. But two more drones entered, lights flashing, charging their weapons. Ethan looked around, grabbing a metal pipe from the ground. "I won't let them take you," he said, standing in front of Lara. The drones fired, but Lara raised her hand and a blue shield of energy appeared, stopping the blasts. Her eyes were glowing brighter than ever. Ethan's eyes widened. "Lara, how are you doing that?" "I don't know," Lara whispered, her voice echoing with a strange double tone. "But I will not go back with them." She stood up, her hair moving as if in a wind that only she could feel. With a scream, she pushed her hands forward, and a wave of blue energy blasted out, throwing the drones back and crushing them against the walls. The room became quiet again, only the sound of their heavy breathing filling the air. Lara's eyes dimmed and she fell, but Ethan caught her. "Lara, are you okay?" Ethan whispered. She opened her eyes, weak but clear. "They will keep coming." Ethan held her close, looking at the broken drones, sparks flying in the dark room. "Then let them come," he said, his voice steady. Outside, the sky rumbled as a large shadow passed over the trees, blocking the moonlight. Something bigger was coming, and they would be ready. The wind outside howled like a lost animal, pushing cold air through the broken windows of the underground room. Ethan helped Lara sit against the wall. Her eyes were half open, glowing softly in the dark. He looked around the room. Pieces of broken drones sparked on the floor, and the air smelled like burnt metal. "Lara, stay here. I need to find out what this place is," Ethan said softly. Lara nodded weakly, clutching her arms as if trying to hold herself together. Ethan stood up and looked around the room, using Lara's faint glow to see. In the corner, he found old metal cabinets, covered in dust. He opened one, and inside were yellowed papers, broken tablets, and glass containers with strange blue liquid. Ethan picked up a file. It was marked with a symbol he had never seen before, a circle with 3 lines crossing through it, like a strange star. The file read, "Project Lazarus, Human Integration with Xylem Core." Ethan's eyes widened as he read the simple cold words. Subject, Lara M. Status, Deceased, Reactivation. Phase successful. Notes, subject shows potential for controlled energy discharge. Mental stability uncertain. Tracking required. His hands shook as he read the words, Deceased, Reactivation. They had brought Lara back from death. "Lara?" Ethan whispered, turning to look at her. She was watching him, tears in her glowing eyes. "I didn't want this," Lara said, her voice small. "I just wanted to live." Ethan dropped the file, moving back to her, holding her cold hand. "You're alive, Lara. That's what matters," he said. Suddenly, the lights above flickered, and a low hum filled the air. Lara gasped, clutching her head. "They're coming, the Watchers." Ethan stood looking around. The ground shook softly, dust falling from the ceiling. A metal door at the far end of the room slid open, and cold blue light spilled inside. From the shadows, 3 tall figures stepped out. They were alien, with thin bodies covered in black armor, their heads long with bright blue lines running across them, and their eyes glowing like Lara's but brighter, colder. One of them stepped forward, its voice metallic but calm. "Subject Lara, return for recalibration." Ethan stepped in front of Lara, gripping his wrench. "She's not going anywhere with you." The alien tilted its head. "Human interference is not permitted." It raised its hand and a blue light started to glow in its palm. Suddenly, Lara screamed, her body arching as the lines under her skin glowed brighter. She fell forward, clutching her head. "Stop it!" Ethan shouted. The alien's eyes flickered. "She is property of Project Lazarus." The other 2 aliens moved to take Lara. Ethan swung the wrench at the first one, but it caught it easily. its cold fingers bending the metal like clay. The alien pushed Ethan back, and he fell, hitting the ground hard. Lara looked up, tears streaming down her glowing face. Ethan. Suddenly, her eyes turned fully blue, and the air around her started to crackle with energy. "Do not resist," the alien said. Lara screamed, and a wave of blue light exploded from her, throwing the aliens back against the walls. The machines in the room flickered and sparked, alarms blaring. Lara fell to her knees, breathing heavily. Ethan crawled to her, pulling her close. "Lara, fight them. You are not theirs." She looked at him, her eyes flickering between blue and normal brown, her tears glowing as they fell. "I'm scared," she whispered. "I know," Ethan said, holding her face gently. "But you are stronger than them." The aliens started to stand, their armor cracked, sparks flying from their bodies. Lara closed her eyes, taking a deep breath. When she opened them, they were glowing blue again, but this time she was calm. "No," she said softly, standing up. "I am not yours." She raised her hand, and blue light formed around her fingers. The aliens charged at her, but she released the energy, sending a sharp pulse that cut through the air like lightning, striking the aliens and shattering their armor. They fell lifeless. Sparks flying in the dark, the alarms stopped, leaving only the sound of Lara's breathing and the faint hum of the machines. Lara fell to her knees, exhausted but alive. Ethan held her, looking around the ruined facility. "Lara, what are you now?" Ethan whispered. She looked up at him, her eyes dimming, her tears normal again. "I don't know," she said, "but I'm still me." Outside, the storm began again, thunder shaking the broken walls. Above them, deep in the clouds, a dark alien ship moved slowly, scanning the forest, knowing exactly where they were, and it was coming. The wind outside roared as if the world itself was warning them. Ethan helped Lara stand, her body weak but her eyes clear. The broken facility around them smelled of burnt metal and ozone from the energy Lara had unleashed. Above, the ceiling shook as deep, heavy footsteps echoed, and small pieces of concrete fell like dust. "Lara, we need to move," Ethan said, gripping her hand. Lara looked up, fear in her eyes. "They're sending something stronger." A deep, vibrating hum filled the air, making their bones feel heavy. The lights flickered, and a large door at the end of the hall slammed open, metal scraping against metal. Out of the darkness stepped a tall alien figure, twice the height of a man, its black armor marked with glowing blue lines, its head like a sharp blade, and eyes burning with cold light. It moved slowly, each step shaking the ground. In its hand, it held a staff crackling with blue energy. It stopped and looked at Lara. "Subject Lara, return now." Lara stepped back, shaking her head. "No." The alien raised its staff and a blue light shot forward. Ethan grabbed Lara, pulling her down as the beam smashed into the wall, sending dust and debris flying. They crawled behind a broken console. As the alien moved closer, its heavy footsteps echoing, Lara's eyes glowed, and she raised her hand, sending a blue pulse at the alien. The pulse hit, but it only pushed the alien back a step. Ethan's eyes widened. "It's not enough." The alien aimed its staff, charging it again. "Run!" Lara shouted, pushing Ethan away just as the beam fired, hitting the console and blowing it apart. Ethan rolled, pieces of metal cutting his arm, but he didn't feel the pain. He looked up and saw Lara standing in front of the alien, her eyes glowing like fire, her hair lifting as if in a wind only she could feel. "You will not take me," Lara said, her voice calm but strong. The alien tilted its head. "You belong to us." Lara's glow grew brighter, and the air around her crackled with electricity. "No," she said, "I belong to me." She raised both hands, and a wave of blue energy exploded from her, pushing the alien back, cracking the walls, and shaking The ground. The alien roared, slamming its staff into the ground, sending a shockwave toward Lara. She screamed, pushing against the wave, her feet sliding on the ground. Ethan saw her struggling, the glow in her eyes flickering. He ran forward, picking up a broken metal rod, and charged at the alien. With a shout, he slammed the rod against the alien's arm, making it drop the staff. Alien turned, grabbing Ethan by the neck, lifting him off the ground. "Ethan!" Lara screamed. Ethan struggled, gasping, his vision going dark. Lara's eyes glowed brighter, and a sharp beam of blue light shot from her hand, cutting into the alien's arm, forcing it to drop Ethan. Ethan fell, coughing, but managed to roll. Away, the alien roared, turning to Lara, its arm damaged, sparks flying. Lara walked forward, her eyes burning, her tears glowing as they fell. "You hurt him," she whispered. She raised her hand, and a sphere of blue energy formed, growing brighter, humming with power. The alien charged at her, but Lara let out a scream, and the sphere exploded into a beam of light, hitting the alien in the chest, lifting it off the ground and throwing it back into the wall. The wall cracked and the alien fell, its glowing eyes flickering before going dark. The room fell silent, only Lara's heavy breathing and the crackle of electricity in the air remaining. Lara fell to her knees, exhausted, her glow fading. Ethan crawled to her, pulling her into his arms. "You did it," Ethan whispered, tears mixing with dirt on his face. Lara looked at him, her eyes normal again, but her tears still glowing softly. "I don't want to fight anymore," she whispered. Ethan held her close. "We'll find a way, together." Suddenly, a loud rumble shook the facility, and a beam of light broke through the ceiling. They looked up and saw it, a massive alien ship hovering above, its lights scanning the building, its engines shaking the ground. Lara closed her eyes. "They won't stop, Ethan. They will keep coming." Ethan looked up, his jaw tightening. "Then we will keep fighting," he said. Lara opened her eyes, looking at him, and for the first time, she smiled. Outside, the sky was torn open by lightning, lighting up the ship above. Below, in the dark ruins, two humans stood against the impossible, ready to fight for freedom. The ground shook as the massive alien ship hovered above, its engines roaring like thunder, sending wind and dust swirling through the broken roof of the facility. Blue searchlights scanned the shattered building, passing over Lara and Ethan as they held each other in the darkness. Ethan tightened his arms around Lara. "We need to move." Lara's eyes glowed softly as she looked up at the ship. "They will not stop, Ethan. They will take me back." "No," Ethan said, his voice steady. "I won't let them." Suddenly, a beam of blue light shot down, forming a holographic figure in front of them. It was tall and thin, its face hidden behind a mask of cold metal, glowing blue eyes watching them calmly. "Subject Lara." It spoke, its voice calm, almost gentle. "You are to return for stabilization. Your powers are incomplete." Lara shook her head, stepping back. "I will not go with you." The figure tilted its head. "You are unstable. You will destroy yourself. Return, and you will be safe." Ethan stepped in front of Lara. She said no. The figure looked at Ethan, its glowing eyes studying him. "You are irrelevant." It raised a hand, and a blue pulse of energy struck Ethan, throwing him back against the wall. He fell, gasping, pain shooting through his body. "Ethan!" Lara screamed, running to him. She lifted his head, tears in her glowing eyes. "Please don't leave me." Ethan opened his eyes, smiling weakly, not planning to. The figure stepped closer. "You have a choice, Lara. Return and live, or resist and die." Lara looked up, her eyes reflecting the blue glow of the figure. She felt the energy inside her, burning, tearing at her mind, calling her back to the cold silence of the void. "Lara," Ethan whispered, holding her hand weakly. "You are not theirs, you are you." Lara closed her eyes, memories flooding her mind. The first time she and Ethan met at the lake under the stars. Their promise to see the stars together one day. The warmth of his hand when she was scared. The way he said her name like it mattered. The figure raised its hand again, preparing another pulse. Lara opened her eyes, and they glowed brighter than ever. But this time, they were calm, steady, alive. "No," she said softly, standing up. The figure paused. "You choose resistance." Lara shook her head. "I choose freedom." The figure's eyes flashed, and it fired the pulse. Lara raised her hand, and the pulse stopped in the air, crackling with energy, frozen. The figure tilted its head, confused. Lara's glow grew stronger, the lines under her skin lighting up like a constellation. Blue light swirling around her like a storm. "You do not control me," Lara said, her voice echoing with power. She turned her hand, and the pulse shot back, hitting the holographic figure, shattering it into shards of blue light. Above, the ship roared, its lights flashing red. Ethan pushed himself up, leaning against the wall, watching her with awe. "Lara," he whispered. She turned to him, her glow calming, her eyes softening as tears fell down her face. "I don't want to lose you," she said. Falling to her knees, Ethan crawled to her, pulling her into his arms. "You won't." They held each other as the ground shook again. Suddenly, a deep voice filled the air, coming from the ship above. "Final warning. Subject Lara, surrender or this facility will be destroyed." Lara looked at Ethan, tears glowing as they fell. "Scared," she whispered. "I am too," Ethan said, brushing her hair back. "But we can do this, together." Lara closed her eyes, taking a deep breath. When she opened them, they glowed, but this time, there was peace in them. She stood up, helping Ethan to his feet. Above, the ship's engines roared louder as cannons opened, charging with blue light. Lara looked up, her eyes reflecting the lights above. "No more running," she said. She held Ethan's hand, squeezing it tightly. "Together," Ethan said, looking at her with a small, brave smile. The cannons fired, beams of blue light shooting down toward them. Lara lifted her free hand, and the air around them crackled as a shield of blue energy formed, meeting the beams, holding them back. The ground shook, the walls cracked, and the wind howled as the ship's power pushed against Lara's shield. She screamed, pushing back, her glow turning brighter, the energy swirling around her like a blue storm. Ethan held her hand, grounding her, reminding her she was still human, still Lara. Above, the ship's lights flickered, and the beams began to weaken. Lara pushed harder, her tears falling like rain, glowing as they hit the ground. With a final scream, she sent the energy back, and the beams shattered, sending a shockwave up into the ship. The ship shook, lights exploding across its surface, engines failing as it began to fall back, crashing into the forest with a roar that shook the earth. The light faded, leaving only silence, the smell of burning metal in the air. Lara fell, and Ethan caught her, holding her as they collapsed together. Outside, dawn began to break, the first light of morning touching the broken earth, painting the world in soft gold. Lara opened her eyes, weak but alive, and looked at Ethan. "It's over?" she asked softly. Ethan looked at the smoke rising from the forest, then at her, brushing her hair back. "For now," he said, smiling. And for the first time in a long time, Lara smiled too. Smoke rose from the forest where the alien ship had fallen, black against the soft gold of the dawn sky. Ethan and Lara sat together on a broken step outside the facility. The morning breeze was cool, carrying the smell of ash and wet earth. Lara's head rested on Ethan's shoulder, her eyes half closed, her glow now soft and calm. They listened to the quiet, the world finally still. "Are you okay?" Ethan asked softly. Lara nodded, but her eyes were sad. "They won't stop, Ethan. This was only one ship." Ethan looked at the rising smoke, then at her. Then we fight. As long as it takes. Lara smiled weakly, reaching up to touch his face. I'm glad I'm not alone. Suddenly, the ground shook again, and a deep hum filled the air, coming from the sky. They looked up. High above, the clouds split open, revealing a massive alien mothership, larger than a city. Its dark surface covered with shifting blue lights. It moved slowly, blocking the morning sun, casting a shadow over the forest. Lara's hand tightened around Ethan's. I don't know if I can stop that, she whispered, fear in her voice. Ethan turned to her, holding her face gently. You don't have to do it alone. She looked into his eyes, and for a moment, the fear faded. The mothership's engines roared, and a beam of blue light shot down, scanning the forest, locking onto Lara. A cold voice echoed across the sky. Subject Lara, you will return. Lara stood, her glow returning, stronger this time, brighter than before. No, she said, her voice steady. I am done running. The beam began to charge, blue energy swirling in the clouds. Ethan stood beside her, picking up a broken metal rod. It was nothing against what they faced, but he held it firmly. Lara looked at him, tears in her glowing eyes. Ethan, if I lose control, you won't, he said, stepping closer, touching her forehead softly. Because I'm here. She closed her eyes, taking a deep breath. The beam fired, a massive column of blue energy crashing down toward them, shaking the earth. Lara lifted her hands, and a shield of blue light formed, meeting the beam, holding it back. The ground cracked. Around them, wind howled, and trees bent under the force of the energy. Lara screamed, the glow around her turning white hot, her tears falling like burning rain. The mothership roared, increasing the power of the beam. Lara fell to her knees, the shield flickering. Lara! Ethan shouted, dropping the rod and grabbing her shoulders. Look at me. She opened her eyes, her glow flickering, pain on her face. Remember who you are, Ethan shouted over the roar. You are Lara. You are strong, kind, brave, and you are free. Lara's eyes cleared, and her glow steadied. I am Lara, she whispered. Standing up, she raised her hands, and the shield grew brighter. Pushing back against the beam, the mothership's lights flickered as the energy was forced upward. Lara screamed, her glow expanding, covering the entire clearing in blue light. The beam shattered, sending shockwaves into the clouds. The mothership began to crack, explosions moving across its surface as Lara's energy pushed into it. Above, the sky lit up with blue and white light as the mothership fell apart, breaking into pieces that burned as they fell into the sea beyond the forest. Light faded, leaving the dawn sky clear, the sun rising over the world once more. Lara fell, and Ethan caught her, holding her as they collapsed together. The air was quiet again, only the sound of the wind in the trees. Lara opened her eyes, weak but alive, her glow now soft and warm. It's over, she whispered. Ethan held her close, smiling with tears in his eyes. You did it. No, she said, looking at him with a small smile. We did it. Above them, the sky was clear, the sun warm on their faces. A promise of a new beginning. And for the first time since she came back, Lara felt alive, truly alive in a world worth fighting for. Together, they stood, looking at the sunrise, ready for whatever would come next, because they had each other.